Let's have a look at some additional functionality in terms of workflow and UI. Here I'm going to look at some edge loops. Well, just to select this edge here, it will now loop around but not go around corners. We also have around corners. Pick the same one, and now it's going to continue on. And finally, edge loop, sometimes known as edge ring. If I were to select it, it gives me an edge ring like so. Another feature is repeat last command. You can find this under the key map, global repeat, and it's bound automatically to the period key. So if I were to do something like subdivide these edges, now if I select some more edges elsewhere, say these guys, hit the period key, it's now going to repeat that last command. Things like the selection will be ignored, which makes for better workflow. There are some additional commands in isolate individual axes under the transform tool. Here I've just remapped them to F1, 2 and 3. They're unbound by default. That means that whatever scaling, rotation or translation I'm in, if I hold down the corresponding key, in this case the F1, I'm now going to isolate the X-axis only. But I do have to hold down this key, and you can see now it's moving like so. Similar functionality can also be found in our toggle proportional, which I've mapped directly to the tilde key over here. If I go in and select my adjacent points in this case, what I'd like to do is hold down the tilde key, and now you can see I'm toggling the proportional on and off, but again only when I'm holding it down. So now as I move it around, I will get the proportional functionality right there. Additional improvements to the workflow come now in the ability to adjust the move point picking size in pixels. Currently, you can see here it's at 30 pixels. So if I were to select M for my move point, now you can see the tolerance. I'm actually moving a point even though my mouse isn't on it. I can reduce this, so now as I start to click nothing happens until I get really rather close to it, and then it will pick like so. If I move in a bit, you probably see this a little bit better. So again, change the size. I can now move that one. If I take it right down to say 5, click in the same place, nothing until I'm right on it. That will also help me stop picking from behind my object. Another important new feature is the 3D manipulators, giving the XSI user a different level of functionality when it comes to manipulation. In component mode or object mode it works exactly the same. If I were to just go into translation mode, we can now start to grab handles to manipulate, in this case our component. We get visual feedback. As you can see, I'm currently in XY mode. Over here, XYZ. I notice I don't have to grab right at the middle of this in order to do that. That is because I can allow mouse clicks outside of the manipulator. The beauty of having the visual feedback means that I can see exactly what I'm doing at any stage. I can also, from inside here, again allow the double clicks to toggle the axes. So if I double click on here, I'm now isolating the corresponding axis in single mode. The beauty starts to come where we right click. At any stage I can now jump from different modes. So currently in view mode, I can now jump to local mode or global mode. This means that if I'm going from object, component, and even using the new pivot tool, combining all of these together have a level of functionality never seen before. So for the icons, here we can see the scale, rotate, and here the rotation. I'm currently in free rotation. Notice in any of these I'm seeing just the axis of interaction. I can control this through show selected axis, and I can turn it off, so now I can still see all of the axes associated with it. From inside the tool options we can access all this functionality. We can also access it straight in here, enable transform manipulators. A host of additions to scale, rotate and translate editing comes in the form of SRT multi-edit. If I were to shift and right click on any of the little XYZ icons and I type in a number in the field, it would apply it to all. If I were to shift and right click on this little icon here, it will activate all three fields, and then again type in a single number in a single field. A host of tools for interaction, manipulation and workflow.